It's Sunday, February 16th, 2020. This is 5 on your side at 10. Broad daylight, bullets flying, and a little girl gets shot.
Plus, the police lieutenant turned millionaire after a gay discrimination case. He's talking only to 5 on your side.
It took a toll on me to challenge what seemed to be the status quo.
And hear from 2 local producers whose film won an Oscar. We'll tell you how you can watch it for free.
But first, breaking news. A police officer shot in a busy store. A gunman is on the loose tonight after shooting an off-duty officer working security at the Ferguson Walmart. Good evening, I'm Mike Bush.
And I'm Ann Allred. The officer is in the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. We have team coverage with crews at the hospital and on the scene. 5 on your side's Brandon Morano has been at that Walmart, and he joins us live from Ferguson.
Yeah, and you can see still a very active scene here at this Walmart just off of West Florissant Road in Ferguson, where police say an off-duty Calverton Park officer was working security. Now, they say when he tried to stop a shoplifter, that man pulled out a gun, shooting the officer once in the arm and at least 2 times in the torso. Now, thankfully, that officer was wearing a bulletproof vest. I want to show you some video from the scene a little bit earlier this evening. Police say the shooting happened just inside the main entrance of the Walmart around 7:15 this evening. The officer was taken via police escort to Barnes, where he is currently recovering from non-life-threatening injuries. The officer was wearing a bulletproof vest, but police say the man who shot him got away on foot and may have eventually gotten into a car. Now, as of right now, police are still looking for that suspect. Earlier, we talked to the mother of another Walmart security guard who was inside the store when the shooting happened.
The police called me and told me it was a shooting, and my daughter, she didn't get shot, praise God. Yeah, she was all right, but she was hysterical.
Now, police say the officer was 35 years old, or is 35 years old, and has 2 years, little over 2 years of law enforcement experience. If you have any information on where the shooter might be tonight, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers or the St. Louis County Police Department. Mike and Ann.
Brandon, thanks. The officer was rushed to Barnes Jewish Hospital in St. Louis for treatment.
5 on your side, Sarah Mackey's outside the hospital. Officers have been showing up to show their support. Sarah?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Things are starting to clear out just a little bit now because that 35-year-old officer who was hit multiple times is expected to survive this shooting. We're told that he was hit at least once in the arm and then once or twice in the torso as well. I want you to take a look at some of the video from earlier tonight when you can get a good idea of how large and how immediate the reaction was out here. Traffic was still moving outside of the emergency room on Kings Highway, but there were about a dozen officers at the door, mostly city police officers, and there was a large line of police SUVs along the street as well. We're told that's typical anytime that a police officer or a firefighter is injured in the line of duty, especially these officers. They came here to support their fellow law enforcement officer, but also to help direct traffic and to get the officer in the hospital as quickly as possible.
I can't tell whatever merchandise that person had, but it's not worth taking someone else's life over. I can tell you that much. As a city police department does a hell of a job blocking off all the intersections and getting those men and women there as fast as possible for that life-saving treatment. And the medical professionals at Barnes are the real deal.
All right, again, that officer, 35 years old, is expected to survive this shooting. Many of the officers have started to clear the scene now that their services are not needed for the traffic. But as Brandon has just said, the search does continue tonight. Other parts of the area very, very busy as they continue that manhunt. Live tonight, Sarah Mackey, 5 on your side.
We'll continue to work the story through the night. We'll bring you updates on air as they come in. You can also always get the latest information by following us online at KSTK.com or in the 5 on your side app.
The whole thing's been emotional. I don't know. It was just it was tough that week, and I talk about it, and I feel like I'm reliving it, and I'm sitting back in that courtroom.
That's Lieutenant Keith Wildhaber speaking on camera for the very first time since his landmark discrimination case against the St. Louis County Police Department, his police department. Tonight, Keith Wildhaber shares his thoughts on the fallout since the verdict. whether he believes he deserves that much money and the personal struggles he's endured along the way.
Lieutenant Wildhaber sat down for a wide-ranging, exclusive TV interview with our Christine Byers.
So your attorney tells you, actually, Keith, it's closer to $20 million. What's your reaction?
I was shocked. I never thought, I thought we had a good case. I thought we had a case that was going to be winnable. I never, in my wildest dreams, would have thought the jury would return a nearly $20 million verdict.
There are some people that don't think you deserve this amount of money. How do you respond to that?
I don't know that I can. I wasn't out looking for this amount of money. The jury did their job, did their civic duty, and they felt that that was a reasonable amount. I've heard some talk that the jury was in higher ranges and that they're lucky it settled, or they came to $20 million. But I can't control the amount of money that the jury's going to award on a case.
Do you think you deserve this much money?
That's a hard question. It was a long 5 years. I don't know if you could put a dollar amount on the emotional aspect this has taken on me personally.
The journey to trial started in 2014. Wildhaber says a police board commissioner told him he needed to tone down his gayness in order to be promoted.
What do you think he meant by that statement?
I don't think he was being malicious when he said that. I profoundly believe that he believed that was something that was going to be holding me back.
The quote stuck with him, especially as he watched others repeatedly get promoted over him. Then, in April of 2016, he said he'd had enough and filed a discrimination complaint.
That was gut-wrenching to go down there to that federal building and file that EEOC complaint.
Why? Why was it gut-wrenching?
I love the county police department. I love the officers that work there. And it took a toll on me to challenge what seemed to be the status quo and to put myself in that position. It was pretty tough.
Within weeks, he was transferred from his precinct and put on midnights.
It was tough. We had a very close squad.
The move became the basis for his retaliation claim, which netted him the largest award. Earlier this month, Chief Belmar announced his retirement. Within hours of that announcement, the county released the settlement it reached with Wildhaber.
Have you forgiven Chief Belmar?
I have. I don't hold this against any one person. It was a culture, but do I forgive the chief? Absolutely.
So, Christine, he was awarded $20 million by that jury. Now, instead, he left that on the table and he went and settled with the county for about $10.25 million. So why take half?
So Keith Wildhaber said that he basically wanted to save taxpayers the $7 million in punitive damages that he would have had to have given to the state. So that takes the amount from about $20 million that taxpayers would have had to pay to about $10 million.
He's a multimillionaire now. Will he continue to work?
He said he wants to continue to work. He's got 3 more years until he's eligible for his full pension. And at that point, if he thinks that the diversity and inclusion unit that he now leads is still doing good work, he wants to stick around for it.
Did he talk at all about, since this is all blown up all over the media and this has all happened, he's now going to work every day with these people. How have they treated him? What's that been like?
Well, he said that he called the department a young department, and he said that they grew up in the Will and Grace era. So having a gay supervisor to them is really a non-issue. So he said that everyone has been fine with it and didn't really understand why all this was going on in the first place. It's a generational thing, in his opinion.
All right, Christine. Thank you. And you can read Christine's report and watch other parts of this 45-minute interview, including his connection with fallen officer Blake Snyder and his response to those who have criticized his appointment to this new unit.
Always smiling. That's how people who knew 2 mothers and their daughters. Leslie Prather, her daughter Ryan, Carrie McCall, and her daughter Casey were killed Friday in a crash on Interstate 64 near Lake St. Louis. The four were headed to a volleyball tournament in Kansas City. They played for a volleyball club in Louisville. The director of that club says the team honored the girls in a very special way.
Won all three of the matches, and because they were playing for a purpose, you know, they were playing for those two young ladies. A lot of our teams have taken Ryan and Casey's jersey numbers, they've put them on their shoes.
The girls' mothers were also coaches at the club. The crash is now under a criminal investigation by the St. Charles County prosecuting attorney.
Caught on camera, video of a man repeatedly firing a gun at a car. This is in the middle of the street, South St. Louis. Police say a 6-year-old girl riding in the car yesterday afternoon was shot in her knee. Our Robert Townsend joins us live from police headquarters downtown with an update on the child and more on this video. Middle of the street, broad daylight. Unbelievable.
It is unbelievable, and let me tell you, police say the little girl is still in the hospital tonight. It appears, the good news, that she's going to be okay. Now, that video of the possible shooter is definitely giving neighbors a lot to think about, leaving them in chills. You can't see his face in this surveillance video, but you can clearly see a young gunman repeatedly shooting down Pennsylvania Avenue in the Gravois Park neighborhood Saturday afternoon. And as quickly as he fires, the man then runs off. It appears the victim in that shooting was a 6-year-old girl. It's still unclear if she lives in the neighborhood.
It's very hard to believe, yeah.
Yeah, it's very hard and dangerous because we haven't kids.
The shooting happened just outside this couple's home. Their security cameras caught that video.
That's really bad. I mean, I'm really scared about it.
I'm really scared. I'm really nervous.
Concerned about their own safety, the couple asked us to not show their faces.
It's a kid. It's innocent kid. About this guy to do this to her, I don't know. It's unbelievable.
Police found at least a dozen shell casings in the street. They're looking for 3 suspects in connection with the shooting.
He do it.
As detectives search for him, neighbors think about the child.
We are glad and are proud to God too. She's really good.
That she's okay?
Yes.
Again, tonight, police are still looking for 3 suspects. So far, they've only told us one of them is 24 years old. Live downtown, Robert Townsend, 5 on your side.
St. Louis police responded to another shooting last night where a child was the victim, also in South City. This happened on Indiana Avenue just before midnight. Investigators say a woman fired warning shots at a person she thought was trying to rob her, but the bullet ricocheted off the ground and hit a boy in the hand. The boy is in stable condition. Police are treating this as an accident, and they don't expect any charges.
Hundreds of Americans who had been stuck on a cruise ship are now on their way home.
Well, we're exhausted, but we're on the plane, and that's a good feeling.
What's next for the passengers as U.S. health officials screen them for the coronavirus?
Construction is forcing some changes to I-70. What you need to know if you're driving in and out of St. Charles County.
Well, Monday's President's Day. Yes, it's a holiday, but Mother Nature did not get the good weather memo. We're tracking showers into the bi-state region when they arrive, when they move out.
Hundreds of Americans who were quarantined on a cruise ship because of the coronavirus, they are now on their way home. 2 government-chartered planes are headed back to the U.S. One couple from New York was on the plane. They'd just been released from the Diamond Princess cruise ship. They were cooped up in their cabin for 12 days as the coronavirus spread throughout that ship. 355 cases of the new coronavirus were reported between passengers and crew members.
Well, we're exhausted, but we're on the plane, and that's a good feeling. Pretty miserable wearing these masks, though, and everybody had to go to the bathroom on the bus.
One of those flights is expected to land tomorrow at Travis Air Force Base in California. The other will go to Lackland Air Force Base in Texas. Passengers on the planes will then be under another quarantine while they're monitored for the disease.
This week in the race for the White House, 5 Democratic candidates will debate Wednesday night, and the next caucus will take place Saturday in Nevada. Frontrunners are taking aim at a man who hasn't qualified for the debate yet, former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg. He has until Tuesday to meet the criteria and make it onto that stage with Bernie Sanders, Pete Buttigieg, Elizabeth Warren, Joe Biden, and Amy Klobuchar. We've had a couple of freezing days, but the weekend ended on a high note with warmer temperatures and sunshine.
But we can kiss that goodbye. Rain is moving in tomorrow, disrupting the morning commute.
And that's not all. Before we get to the forecast, 5 on your sides, Monica Adams has a look ahead to some of the other traffic problems we're going to see tomorrow.
Hey, it's Monica Adams, and changes are coming for those of you that use the Blanchette Bridge, and it all starts Monday morning. So all this week, as part of the eastbound Blanchette Bridge rehabilitation project, 2 eastbound right lanes will be closed from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. 2 westbound right lanes will be closed from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Significant delays are expected, so MoDOT's asking you consider using some alternates, 370, 364, or 6440, and that will alleviate some of the congestion. And for our city drivers on I-44, a reminder, your Lafayette ramp to westbound 44 is closed until late this year. 2 left westbound lanes closed from Jefferson to Nebraska, and they stay that way until late 2020. Westbound 44 traffic will have only 2 lanes, and in addition, drivers on the northbound 55 ramp, you won't be able to access Jefferson. You'll have to have an exit onto Lafayette or Grand. Beginning tomorrow through Wednesday, crews will close the ramp from northbound 55 to westbound 44 at 7 p.m. to begin placing that barrier wall to shift the eastbound traffic onto the westbound lanes. During that time, ramp traffic will be detoured to Truman, to Choteau, to Jefferson to get back on the interstate. And remember, I'll be here all week helping you navigate the roads starting at 5 a.m. on Today in St. Louis.
And those roads could be wet tomorrow?
Thinking they're going to be wet tomorrow, but it is President's Day, so it's a holiday, so traffic maybe not as heavy, and, you know, maybe we get the impacts going into Tuesday more with all the construction. Take you back to this morning when you woke up. There were clouds if you were up early enough, and then it was pretty bright mid-morning and through much of the afternoon with just some passing clouds. You know what happens 3 weeks from today? We move into daylight saving time. 3 weeks from today, the sun will be setting after 7 p.m. And over the course of the next 21 days, we gain 47 minutes of daylight. And also the average temperatures go up. Anybody ready for that? Here's a live look over in Edwardsville right now with our community cam. It's a quiet evening in Edwardsville at this moment. And all around the area, we have generally cloudy skies, but dry roads, no rain on the radar screen. Think we're about down to our low temperatures tonight into the upper 30s. There is some rain back across portions of Nebraska right now, but the clouds are beginning to increase around St. Louis. That trend continues. And overnight, we'll see the showers moving in from the west and southwest. Temperatures stay above freezing as that rain moves in. So even though it's a little colder north and northeast of St. Louis for the overnight lows, temperatures as the rain starts to push in go up a bit. Now, the focus is mainly north and west of St. Louis before daybreak. And as we head towards daybreak, we will have some of those showers drifting through the metro area. The heaviest rain during the morning is likely to be to the north and northwest of St. Louis, or should we say the most concentrated area of showers. Cold fronts coming in during the afternoon, and that will tend to scour out the rain chances as we head into the overnight hours tomorrow night and into Tuesday. So we'll push all that rain away on Tuesday. The clouds are a little slower to leave, and the colder temperatures are in here, so we're still around 50 for the high tomorrow. The temperatures will be pretty cool here as we head towards the middle of the week. Showers are likely tomorrow. You'll need that umbrella. Winds out of the southeast at 5 to 10. 51, though, and that's about 6 degrees, 6 degrees above average. We're talking temperatures, though, backing off. Cooler than normal here by the time we get to Wednesday and Thursday. We may be down into the teens in some areas for Thursday morning as well as Friday morning. But the trend towards next weekend is for milder air to return. But with that, the chance for some rain, especially by the end of the weekend into the beginning of next week. Tomorrow, even though it's a holiday, looks like we're going to have to deal with some showers around. But 3 weeks from now, you
start with that and end with that.
Yes.
I like it. More sunshine.
Yes.
Thanks, Scott. Well, it's been nearly 75 years since the Battle of Iwo Jima, but its memory lives on in our history and our veterans.
You couldn't get scared. You didn't have time.
A look back at one of the bloodiest battles in history with a hero who was there. This week marks the 75th anniversary of one of the bloodiest campaigns of World War II, the Battle of Iwo Jima. Tonight, in our Making a Difference report, I sat down with one of the men who was there. He says he wasn't a hero, but I think you'll beg to differ.
And you had your dog. Look at the dog, fellow. Beauty. Yeah, beauty.
When you are nearly 99 years old, memories can be fragile.
This must have been, what, 1943?
So like a museum curator,
oh, here's some boxing.
Keith Kohler is helping his dad catalog his collectibles.
This is boot camp. Boot training at Paris Island.
After all, Charlie Kohler is written on the pages of history. He was a promising ball player signed by the Brooklyn Dodgers out of high school. Life changed for him, however, on December 7th, 1941, when he and his friend heard a bulletin on the radio.
The first thing we heard was the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special news bulletin. The Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, by air, President Roosevelt has just announced.
We looked at each other and I said, what are you going to do? He said, we're going to have to fight.
He signed up with the Marines and was sent to the Pacific. And in 1945, he was part of the American invasion on the island of Iwo Jima.
They knew it was going to be a tough battle because they had the advantage of higher ground.
The Japanese had built a dense network of bunkers and hidden artillery positions.
There's a scene of violent activity there as these Marines are going up and down that ridge, carrying supplies up to the men on the front lines.
The battle turned into some of the fiercest and bloodiest of World War II. Charlie was just 23 at the time.
You couldn't get scared, you didn't have time.
Just hours after landing on the beach, the young gunnery sergeant was badly wounded when the bunker he was in was hit by a mortar shell.
You just know right away. You know right away when you're hit. There's an explosion and you feel it.
Bleeding and unable to walk, he crawled back to the beach and was eventually transported to a hospital ship. Days later, as medics looked after him, he looked out and saw one of the most enduring images of World War II.
One of the guys said, hey, look what's going on.
It was the flag raising on Mount Suribachi.
It wasn't quite up yet when I looked up. It was way back here, and they were coming up. All the guys were coming up with it, and you can't believe what the noise was on board that ship.
The cheers were premature. Fighting lasted another 31 days. Was that a good group of guys?
Oh, fantastic. Absolutely did everything right.
Charlie would spend the next year in the hospital with two badly mangled legs. After returning home, he married his sweetheart Juanita, raised 3 boys, and built a successful printing business. But he almost never talked about the war.
Only when I asked, Mike, I needed to kind of prompt him for any information.
One reason for that? He made it off Iwo Jima, but his younger brother did not. Edwin was one of the nearly 7,000 Marines who made the ultimate sacrifice to take the island. Charlie still has the telegram the Western Union man brought to his parents' door. A painful memory.
It really was. That really takes a lot out of you.
Here we go, Papa.
Yeah.
Charlie Kohler still has the scars from the Battle of Iwo Jima.
There you go. Atta boy.
Even though it happened 75 years ago this month.
It makes me pause and think, wow, all these men, all these brave, courageous people who voluntarily chose to go fight for our freedom. That's what it means to me.
It's a reminder that even reluctant heroes are still heroes.
We just got the job done. You got to get the job done, yeah.
Charlie Kohler and the anniversary of Iwo Jima. A chance to give thanks for those who gave everything.
He's part of the fabric of that flag.
What an honor to spend a little time with a hero. And a reminder, if you know an inspiring person or someone making a difference, let me know by email at mbush@ksdk.com.
A short film with a big message. Hair Love took home an Oscar last weekend. The connection this award-winning film has to St. Louis.
There's a little Oscar magic in St. Louis. 2 of the producers behind the Oscar-winning animated short film Hair Love are from our city. David Stewart II and Carl Reed run Lion Forge Animation, one of the companies that worked on the film. It was their first project and one they say truly embodies their mission.
We want those super personal stories that challenge expectation and that you don't expect, or that comes from a voice that you wouldn't expect it to come from.
The project is not only for African Americans, but also it's for everybody. You know, everybody can watch it and kind of interrelate and stuff like that. It socializes our culture to the world.
Paris says they're already working on new projects that will be announced in the next couple of months. You can find a link to Hair Love right now on the 5 on Your Side app.
We're continuing to follow breaking news out of North St. Louis County. An off-duty Calverton Park police officer was shot while working a security shift at the Ferguson Walmart inside the store. St. Louis County police tell us it happened as the officer confronted the suspect about shoplifting. That's when the gunman shot the officer, hitting him multiple times. He's going to be okay, but police are still searching for the gunman. You can get the latest updates on the 5 on Your Side app.
It's NBA All-Star Weekend in Chicago, the first time the whole league has come together since the loss of Kobe Bryant. How fans, players, and a former president are honoring the late basketball icon.